Parents. I wanted to bring Lois on because Lois specializes in guilt and shame. And one thing that I have noticed the coronavirus doing is really bring to the surface a lot of the guilt and shame in parents. Why is the virus doing that? In my opinion, it's because we were forced to sit and be with ourselves during quarantine. And we are still in that process of still sitting a lot with ourselves because we are unable to go out and be distracted and do the things that we super enjoy and want to be and socialize, and instead have to spend so much more time sitting with ourselves and doing reflection and figuring out who we are. And all of that really brings up a lot of our past things that we don't necessarily like about ourselves. It forces us to look into the mirror. And with parents, in addition to all of that, it also has you spending more time with your kids, more time with the family, and having to reevaluate some of the things that you do and how you parent. And it's difficult. I want to say that we're all in that together right now as parents. We all are experiencing that, that back and forth of, am I not bonding with my kids enough? This is my opportunity. We're all together. How come I'm not enjoying being with my children as much as I should be? Or how come I'm so annoyed with my kids when I know I shouldn't be and they're just being kids? Or I'm not baking with my kids because that's what social media is telling me to do, and they look so beautiful and happy, and we're all supposed to be cooking together, but really I'm just tired and I'm exhausted and I really just want to go to bed and go hide out in my closet. And you're not alone with those thoughts. And this quarantine has made us do that. They have made us self-reflect, and there is a lot of shame and guilt happening. So I hope that you go and check out Lois and what she has to offer, and her many years of research that she's trying to help parents just like us overcome the shame and guilt process and really just own the emotions, but move forward with them so that we can all grow and be better people and really sit and in the end be better parents. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for watching. You are an impactful parent. I'm just here to help. Welcome, impactful parents. Today we have a very special guest on. Today we have Lois Hollis. And Lois is here because she is a shame and guilt educator and has a ton of experience in this. And as you know, shame and guilt is huge in parenting. The mom guilt, the parent guilt, whatever you want to call it, we all need help with it. And we have all been there. So I brought Lois on because her past 15 years, she's been sharing unknown information about shame and guilt that helps us release obstacles, and then we can live our lives to the fullest and their greatest capabilities. So thank you for being on today.
Thank you so much, and thank you for this generous opportunity.
So I want to get to it right away. Tell us why your definition of shame and guilt is different than anything else that I can find out there right now on the web.
It came to me when I've been helping clients with various emotional issues. The reason that all of us, me included, have had the struggle of shame guilt is, and it's not because you're not good enough. We as humans are beautiful, blessed people. It's not because of your parents or your grandkids or your mother or your father, your aunt or uncle, teacher, priest. It's because shame and guilt, and because our culture has defined it in a way that we stay in the shame guilt prison. The truth about shame guilt is that shame and guilt are together. They are not separate. Shame is called shame because it is located in the unconscious mind. Guilt is called guilt because it's in the conscious mind, but it's the same energy. It's called shame guilt. and it's not to be separated. The only thing that I can compare it to is that I'm a nurse, and if a bacteria is in the brain, it's called meningitis. If the same bacteria is in your colon, it's called colitis. If the same bacteria is in your joints, it's arthritis. Okay, that's way oversimplified, and please forgive me for any medical person around, but it shows the reason how our culture works. Simply because a disease is in a different part of an person organ, it's called a different name. So it would make sense that our culture would name shame shame and guilt because it's in different locations. All shame, all guilt is dangerous to our emotional and physical health. Now, why can I say that? I can say that because shame and guilt, think of a dark black cloud of smoke. It comes upon you. And don't you feel that? Like when you feel, oh, it's
Oh,
like I'm
absolutely.
drowning. And it's not even smoke, it's a heavy, dark blanket of stone that
Yeah.
falls upon you. Shame, guilt is an energy, the same as love is an energy. How do you feel when you feel love? Ah, when your little 2-year-old comes up and say, I love you, mommy. I mean, seriously, right? Don't you melt in love and you like, expand? What happens when you feel shame, guilt? Clunk. I mean, you're actually hit like a brick and you fall down and you can't get up. It's very difficult to get out of that. So I'm asking you to entertain this new concept because some people say, wow, I don't know if I can. I'm telling you, just entertain it. When you feel the shame, guilt, black cloud coming upon you, know that it's an external energy. What does external mean? It means that it's outside of you. You can get rid of your anything outside of you that's not part of your humanity.
So let me clarify. Are you saying that shame and guilt isn't coming from within, it's on the outside?
Yes,
Mm.
it comes from the outside into you.
Okay.
So therefore, it's like a sword. So you can take that sword out. However, you have to recognize it. That's what my teaching is. My teaching is how do you recognize shame? Because we don't even know what that is because it's our culture. We were raised that way. We think that's healthy living. So that's down the road. That's second base. We have to get to first base first. So first base to know that shame and guilt is not a part of us. Shame and guilt, what does it do? Shame turns our compassion energy into depression. It turns positive emotions, into negative ones. Shame guilt turns our intuition, which all parents have, into anxiety.
It sounds like a virus.
It is, if you, oh, so smart. If you could see a computer and what happens when it gets a virus? Oh my goodness, Microsoft Word doesn't work and it does all this, the enter button doesn't work and it distorts, correct? That's what shame guilt does to our human body. It distorts our energy field, distorts our nervous system, and our nerves can't give the right signal to our gallbladder, our shoulders, our stomach, so we get disease because it's not getting the right signal. Now, shame guilt attacks emotions. So focus on the emotion you feel depression, anxiety, I'm not good enough. Focus on that energy, not on shame guilt. Kind of like kick it out of yourself. Focus on the energy. And I have my clients writing to high depression, what do you want to tell me? High anxiety, what do you want to tell me? Okay, if you're bathing a baby and changing the diaper, you don't have time to sit down and write, excuse me. But when you can, sit down and write to whatever emotions, I'm not good enough or what the heck. Hi, I want to talk with you. Thank you so much for coming and talking to me. Don't deny your emotions. Deny shame, guilt.
So you have first identify that shame and guilt are together and that you can't separate them. and then identify the emotion that the shame and guilt is making you feel, and
Yes.
just own the emotion and deny the shame and guilt, but own the emotion, own how it makes you feel. And
And
then,
that's okay. It's okay to be depressed. It's okay to have anxiety, but it's not okay to feel so bad you want to commit suicide.
right.
That's what shame and guilt takes you down that hole. I've been there, but I didn't. I wrote to my emotions instead. And that really helps a lot of people.
So why is it then, do you feel like parents experience so much more shame than, let's say, the average person who's not a parent?
The human nature, okay, our humanity, we are here to evolve. It's called eternal progression. Now, when a person has children, mothers have their children, they are put on an evolutionary faster track.
Hmm.
So all of their experiences of their childhood come forward because you're identifying with your child. So it's just a matter that parenthood can be seen as you're now on a treadmill without an off button. It's not that you're worse. It's just that you're learning your lessons faster. So the faster you learn that shame and guilt is not part of you, the better your life will be. And the more you can accomplish because you have. Do you ever notice that people have children? Excuse me for this, but I feel that a lot of people that don't have children don't have those experiences. Something about having children gives us a wider focus. I'm just saying that the group of us that have chose to have children tend to go on an evolutionary path of emotional health quicker.
Well, parenting definitely does give you a whole different sense of, it gives you a different sense of purpose. It makes you have to see a long game ahead of you instead of the short term. I mean, parenting does all different things for you. You also have to figure out, I mean, it's one of the more selfless types of things that you could be as a person, because you're no longer living for self, you're living for someone else in addition to yourself.
So that's what I'm showing parents, that since you stepped up to the plate, you have to learn more. And it comes at you and it gives you the opportunity to be a greater person. Parenting does that for us. It gives us the opportunity to be a greater person, not only for ourselves, but for our children. But we want to because of our children. So it's really a growth experience. So that's why we get more shame and guilt, not because we're worse or not good enough. It's just that we are on a treadmill without the off button. And that's the only way I can explain it. Maybe y'all can have a better experience, but that's how I felt. I want to be on this podcast to help you, not because I'll feel guilty not giving this information out, because it's a higher way of living and I'm helping people. It makes us become a more spiritual, enlightened person. I don't do that because I feel guilty. I feel I want to enlighten people, my job.
Any last words or advice that you would give the audience before we close?
We are beautiful human beings, and that's why we have been chosen to be parents, okay?
I love that.
We have been chosen to be a parent. So you did something good. So I want you to say, I'm good. And that's going to be my film in January. It's called I'm Good. I'm making shame and guilt visible so people can understand that it does exist and it's not a good thing.
That's beautiful. I love that. I'm good. I'm good.
I'm good. I'm
I'm
good.
good.
I'm
Love that.
good.
Thank you so much for being on today, Lois. Make sure that you go and check out her website. I'll make sure I leave all that in the notes and right here on the bottom of the screen for you. And check out those questions that she had. This is just the beginning, parents. This is the beginning of a journey of discovering where your shame and guilt lies, how you can find
No,
it.
no, no, no. Never say my shame and guilt.
Oh,
See, we're trained. It's not
yes,
ours
you're
to
right.
own.
Absolutely. Thank you for correcting me. How the shame
Yeah.
and guilt. And then you can work on that and push it away and push it away. It's a, I know it's going to be a journey for a lot of our audience, and we all experience it. So thank you for being on there today. I really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you. God bless.